Hi, I'm Representative Alana Rubel, House Democratic leader here at the Statehouse, and this is the Democratic Debrief, where we catch you up to speed on everything happening in your state government. We are kind of hitting silly season down at the legislature. This is a very dangerous time of year where, they figure people are so eager to get out of here that they are ready to vote on just about anything put in front of them. And sadly, we've been seeing too much of that. We've been seeing really rushed legislating where bills are brought in, they're suspending all the rules so that there's no public hearing, no nothing, and they're basically, taking a bill from start to finish where they first introduce it to where it's jammed through both the House and the Senate in less than 8 hours. And that's when some scary things can happen. We've seen a lot of new introductions of restrictions on governor's powers, new attacks on marijuana, new attacks on the ballot initiative process, all coming through like greased lightning. And that's concerning. And some of those are already on the way to the governor because they've bypassed all public hearing stages. But some of the big things that have been happening around here, there was what they called the property tax bill, House Bill 389, which was very frustrating to us. The Democrats actually all voted against that one, although reducing property taxes has been our top priority all session. But this was not the right bill to do that. This was a bill that will really not do much of anything for people's property taxes. It does an infinitesimal increase on the homeowner's exemption. It also kicks people off of the circuit breaker, some people, which is the relief fund for seniors and veterans and low-income folks. It would not allow growth to pay for growth, and it would really put cities in a bind and jeopardize their ability to fund basic services. So we're very frustrated that even though this is the longest session in history, they wouldn't hear any of the reasonable property tax bills, and then they jammed through this one that probably does more harm than good. Other things that are happening, the higher education budget passed, so that was very exciting. I would urge you all to go watch Representative Mathias's speech on that. It was phenomenal, where he really took the attacks on social justice and the attacks on teaching about racism in our world. He took it head on, and it was spectacular. But we got that budget passed. It was a little smaller than we would have liked, but I'm very pleased that there will be at least some funding flowing into our universities. We also, in another piece of good news, this was really looking like it was in jeopardy. This was the $70 million in federal relief funds for our childcare providers, who are really in dire straits right now, and about half of them are looking at facing bankruptcy this year if we were not able to get them this relief. For a while, it was looking like it was completely blocked, and our budget committee was refusing to even advance a bill giving them this federal funding. You, the public, did a magnificent job. You showed up, you protested. Our daycare providers basically went on strike Monday and came out and spoke up, and it worked. And we got the bill brought forward, and it ultimately passed. Narrowly, a majority of our GOP colleagues voted against it, but the Democrats were able, with our votes, to get it across the finish line. So that is much needed money. Separately, some people get these issues confused, but the pre-K money is still really a concern. So that's separate from the daycare bailout money. There was the $6 million, you remember, to expand pre-K throughout the state. There was a federal grant we were supposed to get that our GOP colleagues keep voting against accepting. That bill, to accept it, passed the Senate. It's been sitting on our board on the House for about a month. And GOP leadership is saying that they're going to refuse to allow a vote on it. We have an action tool that we need you to use to just really get after them, to pull this up for a vote before we leave for the session. And you can find that action tool at idahodlcc.org/action. So please get on that. We really, our kids and families really need that money. That is the highlights and lowlights of what is going on at the State House. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm hoping we're going to be out of here soon.
Good afternoon, this is Senator Michelle Stennett, the Minority Leader in the Senate and from District 26, and welcome back. We were successful finally in finishing balancing our budget and doing almost all of our business by last night, Wednesday night, and we are without pay on a recess until next Wednesday, so that the governor can look at everything that we send to him and decide if he wants to veto or make into law what he has just received from us. It allows us, by law, to come back and override a veto if we so choose, and to finish up our business, which hopefully will only take us one day next week, and finally get out of here for the year. There is the possibility that we'll be called back into session at some point later in the year in order to manage the funds coming from ARPA, which is the federal government funding, which some of them are time sensitive, and then we will have to make sure that we budget them to our agencies, local governments, and various departments in a timely fashion. So to let you know, there was a lot of horse trading and bickering and frustration, as always happens at this time of the session. But it caused an action by the Senate Democrats yesterday to adjourn sine die, which is what we say when we want a session to be completed, done. It was overridden by the Senate floor, but it was a loud message that we need to get our business going, and we did succeed by late yesterday. Just wanted to let you know a few of the bills that came before us in the last days of this session, and it was the last of our budgeting for the appropriations from the various agencies and departments, which, as we have told you, that if we hadn't done it, would not get them ready for our new fiscal year, which is July 1st. They need 60 days in order for them to set them up. So even having finished when we did now, it'll be a leap for them to try to make sure they get online for our new fiscal year. We also had been arguing about making sure that we get tax relief to Idahoans, which finally came through the Senate yesterday. Unfortunately, the personal tax rates went down only $14 to $15 a month for 60% of Idahoans, and the tax deduction for our 1% of Idahoans was $9,000. We disagreed with the glaring differences that it should have been a much better formula than that. We got a small amount of personal property tax relief. We're still waiting for the things that you had asked us for, which was property tax, circuit breaker, homeowners exemption. These are the things that we'll probably still talk about next Wednesday. But for most part, we got our business done. We will keep pushing to make sure that infrastructure and all the things that impact Idahoans the most get a discussion and hopefully something in the final day or two of this session. It did turn out to be the longest session in Idaho history, not a proud moment, and I'm hoping that we will finally get something that is worthwhile to all of you. And thank you so much for listening to our podcasts.